Come check out this incredible interview with Todd Speciale. He shares how growing up in poverty shaped the mindset that would eventually change his life forever. From losing his family home in a fire, all the way to spending years in pool halls, running illegal card games, and surviving being robbed at gunpoint multiple times. Todd's journey is anything but ordinary. Today, he's the CEO of Make Sales Great Again, Chief Sales Officer of Apex Roofing, a keynote speaker and best-selling author, amazing father, amazing husband, and an amazing friend to me. This conversation is packed with raw stories, hard-earned wisdom, and powerful lessons on mindset, leadership, sales, perseverance. You cannot miss this one. So tune in and let's jump on Todd's journey and find out how he did everything he did. Welcome to another episode of the Stroke of Success podcast. It's your favorite host, KB. That's right. I'm back at the Solomon Production Studio here in Central Florida, #1 studio, honestly. Today's guest is someone real special. We've met at the recent wedding. I'm sure you saw my social media. This wedding was out of the world. Forget the Ambanis, forget the Bezos, the Sanjay Sarah Suleiman wedding was the wedding. And my guest right next to me, we ran each other for the first time in the hallway, him and his beautiful wife, and me and my wife, and we had a few words back and forth, great time, some pictures, and I'm like, you know what, I have to have him on the podcast. This gentleman comes from a very interesting story. We'll dive into it. But Todd Speciale, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, brother. Honored to be on. I know we've been talking about it for a little bit. Glad to get it scheduled in.
I appreciate you, man.
Amen.
You know, that wedding, what a wedding.
Oh, yeah. I mean, elephants, Bugattis, helicopters. You know, and then you get me, which I had the luxury of marrying both of them on the Christian ceremony, which was cool. But that was an all-day affair.
I didn't know that you were going to do that.
Yeah.
And when I ran into you in the hallway, you had a beautiful suit on. Or in a black tux, a suit.
Yeah, no, it was just a suit. Yeah.
And you're preparing. I can tell the focus you had. But you know, one thing many things I admire about you. But one thing I picked up that day, you were cool, calm, collected, and a lot of chaos around us, right? I mean,
For
a lot
sure.
of people going around. You know, we talked. We sat on the same table.
Mm-hmm.
Our wives were talking, and I've been following you for a little bit of time now. Mm. I discovered you in my world probably a year ago through Sanjay.
Awesome.
You know, through Sanjay I met Vec. Through Sanjay I meet all these amazing people, and I met you, and I noticed that you're a speaker, mm-hmm. which I'm getting that space right now myself. You're an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. You own multiple companies. That's all great and dandy. But what really got to me about you. Well, you're a family man. Mm-hmm. You're a man of faith. Mm-hmm. And I'm a Muslim, but I was raised by my grandmother who told me to always respect all faiths, mm-hmm. Christian, Catholic, Hindu, Jewish, whatever faith you belong to, learn about them. So in my office, I have a mitzvah, Nur mitzvah. One of the rules we have is we fear God. Mm-hmm. We love God. No matter what faith you are, we celebrate all religions, all holidays, and we're family oriented. So those are our values, and you've practiced them. So I just want to give you a salute about that as well.
Oh, thank you, man. Means a lot.
Brother, let's get into it. Where were you born and raised?
Upstate New York, Rochester.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I'm familiar with it. You're about an hour, 2 hours from Brooklyn, Manhattan?
Oh, no, we're about 10 hours. So, yeah, Rochester is like far east next to Buffalo. Usually when I say I'm from Rochester to someone from Brooklyn, they say you're not a real New Yorker.
Yes.
Because you're not from the city. But it's about a 10-hour drive, yeah.
You're by Canada. Niagara Falls.
Yes. We were 45 minutes. We used to go up to Niagara Falls as a kid.
All the time.
And it was all the time. Just cross the border, go into Niagara Falls, spend some time there, and drive home. It was really cool.
That's nice. Big family?
Yeah, we had a huge family. My dad's side of the family is Italian. Huge side of my dad's family. My mother has a sister and a brother. Her brother didn't have any kids, but my aunt and uncle on my mom's side, they have 3 children. So I had 3 cousins on that side, and we had 10 or 11 on the others, and then second cousins, and Italian families get pretty big. So
I love that. Yeah, I was always very fascinated with Italian culture. Being born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, in the '80s, I'm an '80s baby.
Yeah,
that's where the Italian scene was really popular with the movies and all.
For sure, Bronx Tale, all those good. Yeah,
Goodfellas, right? Brother, what'd your dad do?
So my dad was a salesperson his whole life. We lived in New York, he sold real estate, cars, and all the way up until the time where he couldn't do it anymore physically and mentally, and got into a pretty strong state of depression. Didn't really work a lot. My mom worked at makeup departments at Dillard's and pretty much her entire life. Retail. She supported our family to the best of her ability when my dad wasn't working. The strongest woman on the planet, dude. And I talk about my mom a lot because without her, I don't know what we would have done. Because they both were, always depressed. It was one of those upbringings where we didn't have a lot growing up, and there always seemed to be this next struggle. And it was very hard to see, but my parents persevered through that because we had hardly any money at all. And my parents lived paycheck to paycheck, and we lived in very humble circumstances, let's just say. Definitely not middle class. It was definitely on the lower side. But we made the best of it because my parents loved more than any two people could ever love. So I always say, as we weren't rich with money, we were extraordinarily rich in love. And that's what really kind of like built me as a person. So,
Todd, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Do you believe in manifestation?
For sure, 100%.
Do you think, looking back now and being successful as you are and accomplished, looking back at your parents' story, I do that with my parents' story, right? Like, look back, like, what's the patterns? Do you think that they were kind of attracting the next loss or next financial struggle somehow?
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I talk about this on stage a lot. I think so many people are, in this mindset that they're a victim of their circumstances and the environments they grew up in. I think when I was growing up, we were talking prior to the show about, your mind kind of gets formed at 0 to 7 years of age. I found that most people use that as an excuse, where I used it to kind of catapult me. Believe it or not, I'm not a huge sociable guy, which is crazy to say because everybody sees me. I speak on stages, and I know a ton of people. I am the smaller version of Sanjay, not the mayor, but I know a lot of people, and
you do.
And I try to get out as much as I can. That being said, I'm very singular in how I work. When I want to do something, I'm so focused to accomplish it because I use my struggles as a challenge. And I think that a lot of people use their story as a way to fail. They all believe, well, this is just what I was meant to do. This is who I was meant to be. These are the circumstances that I grew up in. So the next generation, we're just going to deal with what we got and we'll make the best of it. I was never a make the best of it type of guy. I was the type of person that never wanted to be the what if person. Like, what if I, tried one more time? What if I pushed a little harder? There's so many people when you get older and they're laying on their deathbed in hospice and all of these nursing homes, the number one reason why people die is regret. And so for me growing up, I knew at a very young age that I did not want to be like my parents in finance at all. I wanted to be able to leave my kids something. I wanted to be able to provide a life for my children that I didn't have. We're talking Christmases with very few gifts, if any. We're talking, struggling to have food on the table at some moments of our lives. And my dad used to make pasta as an Italian guy, and he'd freeze it, put it in the freezer, and we would come home, we would take the pasta out of the fridge, we'd hit defrost, and we'd pour sauce on it, warm it up, and that's what we would eat. And we loved it as kids. We didn't know any better, right? Yeah. But I just feel like so many people use those things as an excuse, and they don't allow themselves the chance to really manifest what their life can become. Whereas me, I kind of took it as a challenge. My older brother, Rob, is a brilliant human being. Like, he's so smart, so smart. When my brother was studying, I was sneaking out the window, going to parties and, hustling in the streets and doing some stuff I probably shouldn't have been doing. But I just felt like, for me, because I wasn't as smart as my brother, I had to figure out a way to earn at a really, really, really young age, and help not only provide for me and the life that I wanted to build, but just prove that I could do something. I always felt like I had to prove something to myself and didn't really care about other people's opinions. So that was a mindset I gained at a very young age because, kids are they're harsh, right? Like I'm wearing clothes from Walmart. Our house burnt down when I was in ninth grade, and we lost everything. We didn't have any home insurance. We literally lived in a buddy of mine's basement for months until Red Cross raised enough money to help my parents get last month's deposit to move into a duplex. And at that time we were living in Missouri because we went from New York, lived in Missouri for 8 years, and we lost everything. Pictures of us as children, and again it helped. I don't want to say helped. It put my parents in another spiral, because imagine you have decades of photos of your children and then you lose everything in this massive fire. Our dog died in the fire. The bed fell on our dog, and like it was just so much downturn, and like their mental state was just crushed. It always seemed like something was happening. Like, have you heard those people that always say it never stops? It never stops. I can't stand that, because although you can manifest positive things, you can also manifest negative things, right? So, as a child, I feel like that there's so much that people, they force on themselves that they don't have to. And instead of me having all the book smarts that my brother had, I used every challenge that my parents went through, and I looked at it like, I don't want them to suffer anymore, and I want to provide for them. And as a person that wasn't as smart as my brother, the only thing I knew how to do was sell. And I sold a lot of stuff I shouldn't have sold as a kid. And then I got into gambling at a very young age, in pool halls, and then illegal poker games for a living and all sorts of stuff. But I just learned how to hustle and earn money. So money was never hard for me to make. Work ethic was always there, but I was just bad with money. So to answer your question, I know it's a little long, I can tell you that I think that so many people, they fail to succeed because they're living in the past when yesterday was yesterday.
Love it. That is so strong, man. So I'd like to unpack there quickly. So I'm right now, like I said, I'm studying N.O.P, and a big component of N.O.P is called identity work. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a CEO, you must become that now. Don't wait to have the huge company and the revenue. Start thinking like, how would if I'm Todd Speciale, who was your position right now in the roofing company?
Yeah, well, I'm a chief sales officer.
So you're CSO. If I'm looking up to you, I should start thinking like, how would Todd think now? What would Todd do now? How would he work now? And eventually you do that, you adopt that identity, that then the habits will come and your reality will manifest. Most of the people I see what they're doing wrong, well, when I get there, when I become that, then I'll do that. And I think that's a big mistake for a lot of people. I want to go back 1 second. This fire, we just touched on it. Talk about that fire. Was it nighttime, daytime? How did it happen?
Yeah, it was actually right around Christmas, which made it even worse. So there was a mall called Columbia Mall. We lived in this quadruplex, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like 4 units in one building. And we were probably about 1.5 miles from the mall. And I was walking through the mall. My mother and my brother were shopping, and my mom and my brother say, Todd, why don't you go walk around and do some stuff? Because they were going to buy some presents for me and didn't want me to be, there when they were buying them. And I heard over the loudspeaker in the mall says, Mary Jane Special, please rush to customer service. It's an emergency. Now, I ran directly to customer service, and I was obviously, what is this about, right? And I was a young kid at the time, and, I had to been 14 years old, 15 years old. And, the guy says, we want to wait till your mom gets here. And I'm screaming, like, I want to know what this is about. My dad's home. I want to know what this is about.
How old were you? What's your age?
14, 15 years old.
Teenager.
And he says, your house is on fire. And he was continuously talking. There was an exit door. I ran out the exit door, and I literally ran full speed home. And as I'm running, because we only lived about 1.5 miles away from the duplex we lived in, I just see flames everywhere, right? You can see the black smoke going up. And, my dad was outside in his bathrobe, and we had a dog named Ginger at the time, little golden lab. And my dad's outside. It's snowing out. It's literally it's in December, middle December, getting prepared for Christmas. And he's just crying. He's yelling, where's my dog? Where's my dog? And the firemen are there. And I ran full speed to run in the house. And the firemen stopped me, of course, right? Because you could die from smoke ventilation, etc. And they said, the dog's gone. The dog's gone, And so I sat there just looking at this, our memories, our home, right? Just like in smoke and flames, and just seeing my dad, I get emotional thinking about it now. And then my mother and brother, come up and they pull up in the car. My mom gets out, she's screaming and crying. And, my dad told me a cool story about our dog, though. My dad was actually in the shower and the smoke alarm didn't work upstairs. It was downstairs. And my dog went into my dad's room. I get emotional talking about it. Went into my dad's room and, he said Ginger started barking and wouldn't stop. And he would say, Ginger, stop barking. And my dog listened, kept barking more. My dad got out. That's when he saw that our house was on fire and, ran outside and he was yelling, Ginger, come. Well, my bed upstairs in my room, my dog, Ginger, anytime a dog got scared, would run under the bed. So Ginger ran under the bed collapsed on her, and that was that. So it was a very, very emotional moment. We've gone through a lot in our lives, and I always say that my story isn't any more significant than anybody else's story. And I think that a lot of people, again, use that as an excuse too, right? I've gone through all of this. You'll never believe what I've gone through. It's not true, man. Everybody has their own story. There are people that don't have a mother or a father figure around. Maybe they passed away, etc. Maybe that's the only thing they've gone through, but it's literally crushed them to the core. That was a moment I'll never forget. I can see it vividly in my mind today. My dad's been gone 9 years, which is insane to say, in July. And, he passed away 2017, July 25th at 7:31 p.m. And, I think to myself all the time, this extraordinary man who loved more than anybody, was in this constant state of depression, which stopped him from being the best version of himself. So I've taken every one of those struggles that we've gone through, no matter what your story is, and I just say, as cliche as it sounds, instead of saying, why me, I say, try me, right? I just want to persevere through them. I've lived my life that way ever since.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, man.
Yes, sir.
You're so good with the visual storytelling. You walked me right through it. It's like a movie scene, man. It's like you're running. I can imagine that you're running, and you see these smokes come up. Did you get therapy ever in your life?
No, you know what? I've actually taken therapy twice. Went through some personal stuff, and I did it over Zoom. And I believe in it very, very much. I think one of my downfalls is as a man, we tend to hold a lot of stuff in. I am an emotional guy. I mean, I cry when someone wins American Idol, right? See their families hug them, etc. Very, very emotional. But I feel like when you grow up and you have a family, there's a lot of internal struggle. And I feel like one of my downfalls is not letting it out enough, right, where I can actually share it with people. I've gotten way better at it in my older age. I'll be 50 this year. And I feel like as a child or even a young adult, you're like, I'm tough, I can handle it. Well, a couple sessions of therapy helped a lot. It really did. I believe in it very much. I have family members that go through therapy. I support it. I think you should always talk to an unbiased opinion. But I think, when we talk to a licensed therapist, that's one thing. I think there's a lot of really good friends and family members that act as therapists as well. But yes, because you do have to be careful, right, of what you had. That's why I always say an unbiased opinion is good. They need to know who you are and not know your surroundings so they can judge you appropriately, right? Yeah,
that's a very good point. Yeah, it's like, for example, I lost my mom age 20, 21, single mom, raised me in Brooklyn, New York. And for forever, I avoided therapy, and I fell into substance abuse early on. And any one of my viewers watching this, therapy has this bad stigma, you're weak. Mm-hmm. You're not a real man. A real man holds it in, like you said. Excuse me. Just like you, I get very emotional too. And at many years, Todd, I used to be embarrassed. Why do I tear up? I watch a movie, I'll tear up. Yeah. I'll hear your story about your dog. I'm about to tear up right now. And I'm learning it's okay. Actually, the real men are the ones that are able to express themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And also be okay with mistakes you've made. I think the reason why I have the luxury of speaking for so many people is that I'm very honest of who I am. Whereas when I was first starting out speaking, 2018, I started because my dad told me you have a voice. When he passed away, I've told this story a million times, but when He was laying on his deathbed. I'm literally holding his arm. They have him morphined up. It's just time to go. My brother calls me. You need to get over here pretty quickly. Again, remember the exact moment where I was. Pull up there. I'm holding his arm like this. And my dad, I've written 3 books, and the first book I wrote was called The Things I Do Know. Well, just like anybody, I was procrastinating writing the book. I'd write a chapter and I wouldn't think about it for like 8 months, right? Write another chapter. So I'm sitting next to my dad's deathbed, and he can't. I don't know if he can hear me. His eyes are closed. He's no movement at all. It's just going to be his time. So I held his arm like this, and I said, Dad, I'm going to finish the book. I promise you. My dad also wanted me to speak because he always said, you were the strong one. You fought when we didn't, right? Nothing ever stops you. When you want to do something, you put your mind to it, you get it done. You need to talk to people about the story you went through. And I was always like, should I? Because I've spoken for sales teams and stuff like that, but never really on stage, speaking to random people I didn't know. Sales teams, I know who they are, so you're comfortable, right? He says, I want you to get out and speak to the world and become a speaker. And so I said, I'm holding his arm like this, Dad, I promise you I'm going to do it. I'm going to write the book. I'm going to speak, and I'm going to do it because I love you. And I want you to know that I know you're going to be watching me. And I felt this. 2 squeezes, dude. It's like, it's crazy. Every time. So 9 years. And it's just like, it took 2 squeezes for me to create a path in my life that changed my life forever. But yet people are always waiting for the right moment. So you can take these motivational posts that I do every day or someone else does and talk about Vic and you and everybody, and you can just swipe through them. Or you could take time to not only read the post, but read the captions and see what you can take from it. I know every one of my posts aren't great. I do it for me, really, not as selfish as that sounds. It's just a routine for me to do every day, right? And I'm very blessed to have created a following and people that enjoy it, and speak across the country. But we talk about men being vulnerable. When I first started speaking, I would always keep out like the stuff and the mistakes and the bad stuff that I've done. And now when I'm on stage, I tell everybody, look, I filed bankruptcy in 1980. I've stolen, I've cheated, I've, done so many bad things. I've had a DUI, I've been arrested several times for fighting and stupid stuff when I was younger. And, I said, if that makes you judge me as a human being and you don't like me, then so be it, because my circle's small for a reason. I think that people that judge other people through their trials and tribulations they've gone through, they're probably not satisfied with themselves, or some things they're not open and willing to share with others. When I do it on stage, it's a breath of fresh air. And when the first time I did it, my wife and everyone, what the hell are you telling people are all amazing and all that? And I'm just like, babe, listen, you have to get to a point where real is real. And people see the same speakers, the same scripted shit all day long, every day online. I don't want to speak and act like someone I'm not. I want to be who I am. And it's going to resonate with some, and it might not with others. And as a matter of fact, every time someone calls me to speak, and, I charge a pretty penny to speak, I tell them, I said, listen, I don't do this for the money. I do it because I love it. The money's a bonus, don't get me wrong. But I'm not for everybody. I am not. And I wanted you to go look at my stuff on YouTube, go to my website, just make sure I'm the guy, because I am not going to change who I am. As a matter of fact, I've turned down $15,000, $20,000 speaking gigs because, we need you to take this out. And we think this is a little politically incorrect. I'm like, listen, that's just who I am. So I think that the more vulnerable you can be as a man, whether it's therapy or sharing with others and being open about your mistakes, you're talking about the substance abuse that you went through, losing your mom. I mean, these are all very serious things that I think many men should share, but they don't. I have plenty of friends that just hold it in like I thought was the right thing to do for many years. The minute I let it out and I shared who I was as a human being, the mistakes that I've made. I mean, dude, I know plenty of people that we both know who don't do the right thing. Sure. And there are plenty of people that I know that, would love to show the glitz and glam and all this money. They don't have any of that. Sure. Instagram is the highlight reel. 100%. It's not real life. And I always tell people when I'm on stage, it's like, let me ask a question. Have you done something wrong? Do you mind sharing with me? Oh, yeah, I filed bankruptcy. When's the last time you posted on Instagram the bankruptcy paper? Hey, guys, just want to let you know I filed bankruptcy today. Did you do that? Like, no. Okay, well, then Instagram's a highlight reel. if you're okay sharing that, you've cheated, that you filed bankruptcy, that you've been arrested, that you've had substance abuse, if you're okay sharing those things with people, it's like this huge burden comes off of you, because there isn't one perfect human being. And the people that judge you for those things, that to me, they're not understanding that those mistakes are what build you, and you have to be okay sharing that. Otherwise, it'll eat you up inside.
Yeah, amen, man. Well, you just nailed it. You're so right, man. I think, and I have a lot of successful friends, very, very well-to-do. But you can see they're so frozen, man. Like they have to portray this perfect person. But one-on-one, like they'll share with me a lot of stuff. I'm like, dude, you know how many people you can change lives? Mm-hmm. Even you change one, it's so funny. I told you about my stroke. It happened 9 years ago. And Todd, after it happened, I had two choices. I can either keep everything private, personal, or I can take the picture of me on the ventilator and put it out there. Mm-hmm. And I went with that one. And we're from the Pakistani culture, like Sanjay the Indian, mm-hmm. and you know the community now pretty well. You know a lot of the people in the community. We could be very close-knit, close-minded people, right from Asia, right?
Sure.
And they're like, KB, are you nuts? Are you going to share about your stroke and you're in the ventilator? And I shared, like, man, I was 35 and I couldn't move. I had a grown-ass man come and turn me over and wipe me down because mm-hmm. I couldn't move. And my friends couldn't understand that. Mm. And my wife, like, babe, you sure you want to do that? And I go, yes, because God is using me as a vessel, to spread his message with others. That, look, you can hit rock bottom and you can still come out of it. Mm-hmm. And, and I hope, and I say it to all the time, like my friend tease me, like, oh man, KB, what's today's IG post going to be about? If I can change one life, we're good.
Yeah, I can tell you this, man. When, I've shared with you that I ran illegal card games for about a decade of my life. That was literally how I made my living. If you've ever seen the movies Molly's Game, that was pretty much me at a lower level. We'd have 40, 50, 60 grand on the table at one time. That was from 2002, late 2002, early 2003 to about 2012.
That's long ago.
No.
Sorry, cut you up. What city was this?
Orlando.
Oh, you're here.
Oh, yeah.
You're sent to Florida.
Oh, yeah. I've been here since 1998. So, I've had vice president of Walt Disney World play at my card game. We had security. My dad used to cater the food. We had waitresses. We, used to have their choice of alcohol. People didn't want to drive to Tampa to play poker, so we would rent out, penthouses and the Aspire, the Paramount downtown. They're all of them. We just constantly move 55 West, et cetera. We'd have a nice poker table. People would come in. They'd stay 24 hours. We'd gamble and have a good time. But I'll tell you, I feel like a lot of the struggle that people go through in life is identifying who they are. They want to be something, but they never take the risk to be that person and go all in. So when I'm running card games back then, dude, I was doing steroids. I was much bigger than I am now. I was constantly mad. I was the guy that would go downtown after a poker game, and I'm the first person to throw a punch and fighting all the time. Just an absolute maniac. And I remember the first time I posted a motivational post, to your point, and I posted it, and it's the worst ever. Because you know how you can go back and see all the old posts for Facebook and MySpace and all that stuff. And I posted one. I go back and I look at it every now and then. It's just so funny how bad they were. But I posted one, and I got a message on Facebook Messenger. It was from a guy I played poker recently. He said, "Yo, bro, what are you doing? Motivational post? Like, dude, you're the crazy dude that punches people that run illegal card games for a living. Like, you're a motivational guy." And it was like very sarcastic. And I said, "Look, bro," I said, "you can like it or not. I don't care. I don't care what you think of me. This is a direction I want to go in because, something happened to me that I believed I wanted to be this person." And, you say change one person's life. And I've told this story before and I'll never forget it. But, a couple of years go by and I'm posting more. I'm posting every day. And I finally, I put a post on my Facebook one day and I get a message on Facebook Messenger again from a girl I have not seen in 20 years. Okay. And she says to me, big long message, "I don't like your post, like hit the like button. I don't leave messages, but I see them." And she goes, "I need you to know that this last post you just did stopped me from killing myself. I was sitting in a bathtub with razor blades, ready to kill myself, and I don't know what it was, but I just looked at my phone. Maybe it was my one last fix, if you will. and I saw your post, and I didn't just read the photo, I read the caption, and the caption saved my life. And she goes, and I feel like it's very important for you to know that you saved me. And I'm literally sitting on a couch, KB, and I'm bawling my eyes out. And my wife goes, "What are you crying about?" And I showed her, and she starts, getting emotional, because the moral of the story to a post, or even something that you and I might say today, or someone hears when they're watching this or listening to it, is one moment could impact a life forever. And you don't know, because she didn't like any of my posts, she didn't comment on it. People still see them. When you see the views, but you don't see the likes or anything, they still see them. So that one person that just views it, you may not even know, could be impacting their lives. That's enough for me to keep going, and that's when I took it to another level.
What a story. Wow, what a story. Let's go back. Upstate, Rochester to
Missouri.
House burned, right? The house,
house burned down in Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what did you do through high school, college years?
What did I do?
In the 20s.
Okay, so
you're partying, you're a playboy, you're a good-looking guy. I want to hear about the young.
Yeah, so it's funny. When I was in high school, there's two high schools in Columbia, Missouri, where I grew up. One was called Hickman, and one's called Rockbridge. I went to Rockbridge for my sophomore and junior year, and I graduated from Hickman my senior year. I transferred. Might have been for a girl. I don't know. Who knows, dude? But when I was in high school, I was a businessman too. I had a buddy of mine named Sean Linder, and my best friend to date, another buddy of mine named Joey Morgan, one of my best friends. And we used to throw these parties. And we used to rent out these bars that were like in the middle of nowhere in a farm area, and they're all run down, and people would have their birthday parties there, etc. We're in high school. We'd go down to a park. It was called Douglas Park at the time. We'd pay someone $50 to sign the form, because you got to be over 21. And we're like 16, 17 years old at the time. And we would charge $5 a head to get in. We'd go out and get these kegs and pay someone to get the kegs for us. And we ran a business, man. We were making $2-3 grand a weekend by running, these parties, and people would pay for drinks, and we had waitresses, and we'd have a DJ, and I'd pay a buddy of mine $100 to get up there as his DJ, and the waitress would make tips, and we had bartenders. Like, it was a legit, cool thing, right? Then we'd have them out in the middle of a hayfield, and if they wanted a drink, they paid us $5, whatever. I mean, the keg cost us $19 back then. I graduated in 1994, you know what I mean? So I got you by many years, but back then it was just so cheap, and so we would throw these parties, and I was a businessman. Yes, I was, I got around like any other kid, and I enjoyed my high school years a lot, and I was a menace too. I was constantly always in bed. I always say that my poor parents, God bless my dad and my mom, they, to put up with me, but I cared and loved my parents, but again, I was sneaking out the window all the time, and I was gone and constantly getting in trouble, and 9 million speeding tickets and all sorts of crap. You
a ladies' man?
You know what? I was. I honestly, to be fair, it takes a long time to kind of get out of that phase as you get older. I can tell you that the salesperson, the talking portion of me has always been there.
Yeah.
Everybody had cliques in my high school. Like, there was very country town, so a country clique. Then you had your hardcore ghetto guys, and then you had your normal people, and then you had your this people, and there was all these cliques. And I was friends with all of them, because I never wanted to be like the guy that didn't respect someone. I always respected people, and even though I was a mid fighter and doing stupid stuff when I was a kid, man, I was not the toughest kid and got beat up a lot. But I remember that I would have my buddies like Sean Linder and these other guys. Another buddy of mine named Jack Allen, who one of the best fighters on the planet I ever met as a kid. They would always defend me, dude. I had people that always had my back. So I think that when you throw parties, and you're kind of that guy, you know what I mean. It's easy,
To connect.
Yeah.
After that phase, what'd you do after that?
Yeah, so I graduated high school. I never went to college. It's so funny, when Sanjay and I were at a buddy of ours' wedding in Las Vegas a few years back, he sat down and says, we're with all these super successful people with millions of dollars each, and here I am and not really fitting in. And Sanjay says, hey, if you don't mind me asking, Todd, it's like, where'd you go to college? I didn't go to college. And he says, what do you mean you didn't go to college?
Love it.
And he says, where'd you learn all this stuff? Because we've had many conversations about, P&Ls and running businesses and stuff. And I learned that from being around extraordinary people. And even though I didn't go to college, I learned so much by surrounding myself with people and I've always done that are just way smarter than me, because it gives me an opportunity to learn from them, and I can take that and kind of excel in my own life. And, so I didn't go to college, but when I graduated when I was 17 years old from Hickman High School. We lived in a duplex at the time near Channel 8 news station out in the boondocks and off of a highway. And there was this guy that lived next door to us, and he says, "You have the gift for gab." He's like, I feel like you should get into sales. And he sold me on this big thing, which was called, it was just selling Bibles at the doors, like book sales. And it was called Mort Utley Business School, right? And he made it sound great. So he talked me and my parents into letting me go to a place called Ackworth, Georgia, which is right outside of Atlanta. And I was going to live in a foster home while selling these books door to door, right? So I started getting door to door sales. And so I get out and go sell, and I'm horrible at it. The foster family is supposed to feed me, and they pay them to allow me to stay there, of course, right? And I'm sleeping downstairs. They have a bed. I'm sleeping on a couch. I get up every day. Guy comes, picks me up. He drops me off in the neighborhood at 8 a.m., really a gas station. You got to walk to the neighborhood. I have a satchel and a bunch of children's books in there and order forms. And he says, you can eat when you earn. That's what the guy says to me. So again, I'm 17 years old, knocking doors. I sucked at it. And I knocked doors all day. I'd get depressed. I'd cry. It was back when payphones were a thing. You hit zero and you can call your parents collect. My parents didn't have enough money to come get me. After 2 or 3 days, dude, I was done. I was living in this miserable place. They weren't feeding me. I was stealing ham and turkey out of grocery stores. There was a Pizza Hut that had a payphone. Again, I remember this very vividly. I would sit in the Pizza Hut and I would ask for water. And the guys finally came up to me the second day. He's like, "Dude, you all right?" You know what I mean? And he's like, "You don't look like you're homeless." He's like, "But what's going on?" I talked to one of the managers there. Said, "Look, I have no money. I'm selling books door to door. A guy tells me if I don't earn, I can't eat." So I'd come there and they would give me a slice of pizza. You know what I mean? And I'd just sit there for hours. And I finally called some girls that I knew in Missouri, and they drove all the way down from Missouri to pick me up and brought me home. I'll never forget it. And my parents couldn't afford. So I remember listening to my parents like, "What are we going to do? We can't afford to go." And as a parent, think that's got to kill you. You can't drive to another state. You're 3 states away. You can't drive there because you can't afford it to pick your son up who is suffering. And, so it had to be hard on my dad. But luckily, again, I knew some people and some girls that came down, picked me up and brought me home. But, my story really started before that, though. When I was 15, 16 years old, I was selling vacuum sweepers door to door to kind of help bring in money, et cetera. And then I'm walking by a pool hall one day. It's called Columbia Billiards. And I see all this money on different pool tables. And there's these, I'll never forget the tables. They're Brunswick Gold Crown 2s. They're the 9-foot long tables with the shim pockets, are very tight pockets, and everybody's gambling, dude. They're all gambling. $100 bills on one table, $20 bills on the other table. And I'm intrigued, so I just walked in and I sat there and watched people gamble for 6 months. After school, I'd go there, sit for 3 hours, go home. Sit for 3 hours. I'd never held a pool stick before in my life. And I learned the art of negotiation and sales in a pool hall. Because, if I'm gambling with you and I'm better than you, I need to make you think that
I'm better than you.
For sure. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really gambling. They were guaranteed to win. Mm-hmm. So I would watch this guy and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, that guy's way better. How is this guy giving him a handicap? What's going on here? And I just learned they were negotiating, right? Every single game, every set, they were negotiating. And then there was games like cribbage, tonk, pinochle, all these games that I would learn when I'm sitting there. So I started playing a lot of cards, started playing a lot of pool. And then I literally made my living in a pool hall. I would make $1,000 a week at 16, 17 years of age, gambling, playing pool back then. And I would lose my lunch money for 6 months. I'd come in there, save my lunch money up for a week. I'd have $50, and I'd go in there, I'd lose it, and see you guys next week. I save it up, do it again, and then I just started playing so much where I lost my action because I was really, really good. So I grew up in a pool hall. That's where I learned the art of sales. That's why I thought would catapult me selling books door to door. But as you're a kid and you go out and you hit the streets, you don't know how hard it's going to be. You're on your own now, and it was very difficult. So I failed. But that was all through my high school years and just the year after. But there's plenty more after that.
Dude, The Color of Money was a movie with Tom Cruise.
Loved it.
So so you're turning 50 this year. I'm 44. So you got 6 years on top of me.
Yeah.
Same 70s, 80s time.
Sure.
Wow. Pool hall. Man, you're a young kid. I'm sure you see a lot of drugs in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Prostitution.
No prostitution, though. Columbia was actually a pretty clean little town, but I mean, there's a lot of like hard areas, of course, like ghettos and stuff like that, where but it wasn't that type of place. But I did see a lot of drugs. I mean, look, it was really speed back then. Crystal meth, stuff like that. Like I remember playing a guy that was crushing, and he walked in the bathroom, comes back out, and I lost everything. Like he couldn't miss a ball. Like I was like, what is going on right now? I went in there and did some drugs, came out. I never got into drugs, but to each their own. But yeah, you saw a lot of that. You saw a lot of crazy stuff in the pool. I mean, had a gun pulled on me at a pool. I saw a guy get shot in Jefferson City, Missouri for not paying a debt. I mean, it's just, there's some cool stuff.
Right in front of you. Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Shot someone.
Yeah, right outside of the pool hall. Yeah.
A lot of mafia action?
Not really. Not Columbia. No, not at all. Yeah.
Okay.
No, just.
So, okay, that's another chapter. Look at the next chapter. So, how'd you get into the roofing? How'd you come to Orlando? How'd you meet your beautiful wife? And the bankruptcy thing. I want to touch on that too.
Yeah, so we started the bankruptcy because that was in 1998. That was the year before I moved here. It was like same year-ish, if you will. But, back then, again, when you're a kid, you're stupid. I went into this place called Circuit City. It's no longer around now. Circuit City, you give anybody a credit card, And when I lost all of my action playing pool in Columbia because everyone knew who I was, we used to travel. So I'd go on the road. We'd go to Kansas City and Jefferson City, and we'd look for pool halls and just try to make a living. Buddy of mine had, and his name was Jason. He had an old, Toyota truck, and I'd go to Circuit City and I would buy the CD player and all the CDs on my credit card. Just never paid off. And I thought was a lot of debt back then. It's not now, obviously, but I had like $8-9 grand worth of debt and couldn't afford it. Thought to myself, I'm just gonna file bankruptcy and start over, right? And that was in '98. So I mean, if you think about it, that would have been 22 years of age. I was born in '76, so it wasn't a big thing. Just stupid choices that brought me into that. But when I was running card games for 10 years, I was robbed at gunpoint 3 times. I lost a bet to get into timeshare in 2013. I was in timeshare for 4 years. We broke every record in that business. Got out of that, started doing consulting in MSGA for an insurance company. Was there for a couple of years, and then there was this buddy of mine that was working at a roofing company, which I run now. And he says, "Hey man, they're looking for someone to run sales." And I brought your name. I'm like, "Man, I'm not working for anybody. Like I make plenty of money on my own. I'm doing extremely well for myself. I don't want to have to answer to anyone." And so he says, "Well, this guy's willing to kind of open door policy, kind of let you do your thing." So super long story short, talked to the owner, his name Grant Rocket, extraordinary human being. Him and I are very close now, and kind of gave me, as much leeway and autonomy to kind of like rebuild this organization the way that I thought was best, with their guidance, of course. They had 4 offices in 2 states. Now we have 17 offices in 9 states. It's the 7th largest residential roofer in the country. That is not because of me. It's because of them and the extraordinary people around them. He was also an owner that loves to take risks. So he's just one of those guys. Like if there was an opportunity, Grant's going after it. It's just who he is as a person. He also cared about his people very, very much. The culture was there, still does to this day. So it was just surrounding myself with a guy like that. I didn't know what anything was about roofs, 6 years ago. And here we are as the CSO of a company. And again, a testament to show people that I grew up in the streets. I didn't have anything. Now we run a $140 million company with a title like CSO, which people think you have to have a degree for. So yes, been through a lot and grown a lot. And now I'm at a stage where I feel very comfortable in who I am, but I'm always learning.
Make sales great again. Love it. Love it. That's the first, I think, branding piece of yours I saw once I got introduced to you via Sanjay. I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. I'm surprised no one else came up with it. Did you coin that? Did you trademark that?
Yeah, actually, it was a mentor of mine named Danelle, who we were actually doing a meeting one day, and we were thinking about a name of our company, and it was the first term of Trump, and she says, make sales great. I'm like, I'm not really into politics. I don't care what people's opinions are. I don't talk about politics and religion with people because I believe that everybody has an opinion. You should respect it regardless, right? But she goes, you should say make sales great again. I'm like, man, that is catchy, right? Because everything's Make America Great Again now, and I checked it, and we trademarked it, and it was open, and I brought it, and everybody was asking me, is that political? Are you a Trump guy? And all this stuff. I'm like, listen, dude, it has nothing to do with politics. Yeah. The title I wanted to create is because when my dad was born in 1931, your handshake was your bond, dude. When my dad sold something, you shook on it.
That's it.
That's it. Nowadays, you got to sign 8,000 documents just to make sure the person's telling you the truth. There's so much fine print. You got to go through it, etc. I wanted to create a sales and leadership company that trained people how to sell the right way with integrity. because I think that has been lost, and it gets worse and worse every year. There's plenty of industries, insurance, timeshare, like real estate.
Anything and everything.
Anything and everything. People are robbing people. Okay. And so Make Sales Great Again wasn't a title of politics. It was, I want to teach people and help make sales great again. Because when you ask somebody, like, what do you do for a living? They never say sales. You're in timeshare. What do you do for? I'm in real estate. They never say timeshare. They're like embarrassed about it, right? And it's not okay. If you are an honest salesperson, you're in sales. That's it, right? So created the company and did sales and leadership development, and it grew into doing business deep dives. We go into organizations and we can break down P&L and expenses and kind of rebuild it, and here we are today. So it's been awesome.
That's your company.
Mm-hmm. Myself and my partner Brandon Biskey.
How many people do you? How many team members do you have?
No, there's just two of us.
Just you.
Yep.
Very lean operation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I think the hard part and the reason why there's really no growth in it is that we do it because it's a passion, right? When you create a brand, as you very well know, and someone comes up to you and says, I want you to teach us sales, I can easily train someone to do what I do, but it's not me. When you create a brand, they're coming to you for you. I can't be in 80,000 different places at once. Now, you do have the Andy Elliott's and all these guys who hire these guys, and they all sell. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just, I feel like I owe it to the people that I serve to be me. Because when I speak, I'm very passionate. I want people to listen. I want them to take it in. I'm very direct. But I also want to know that when I've left, I've made an impact. I don't feel comfortable putting that in anyone else's hands. So our business really isn't scalable. And we do well, don't get me wrong, but it's not really scalable to the point where I feel comfortable having 50 other people representing the brand because I want it to be mine.
Just you two do the sales training.
He's good at everything that I'm not. So we do sales training, leadership development, business deep dives is one thing. Brandon's way better than I'm at now as far as the analytical side to it. But dude, we've done business deep dives for law firms, and they'll train us to go. We'll come in there and train their guys how to negotiate, or they teach us their entire process from start to finish. When we do a lot of business consulting, we can go in and look at a business, and it's always good to have outside eyes, like we do in our business as well too, right? We have someone come in and say, you could do this differently. I never even thought about that, because you're tunnel vision. So, but a lot of our stuff has shifted now from sales training, leadership development to business deep dives, because we do very well at that.
That's amazing. So what's the avatar for someone who's gonna come hire you to help with sales and business consulting?
Honestly, it's funny you say that, because for the longest time we did one-on-one training for anybody who's just trying to get into sales, but it's I love helping people. It's just exhausting, right? It's a lot. You have a lot of clients.
Limited hours, man.
For sure, limited hours, right? So it's really from a startup for the business deep dives. We do startups or existing companies that have been in business for a long time. We've done deep dives for $80 million companies to brand new startups and helping them get off the ground.
Wow.
For sales training, it's usually a team, dude. I don't do one-on-one training anymore. We don't, because it just takes too much time. But use an organization with a sales team. We'll go in there and kind of help them all look at their sales process, look at how their lead flow is, how they're doing the marketing. We literally do a great job in not just sales training, but we want to see where their weak spots are, areas of opportunities, like we like to call them, and then kind of fill those gaps.
The leaks.
Yes, that's right.
After birthday because of the leaks.
That's right.
How many conferences are you speaking at on a yearly basis?
Have I? Or annually?
What are you doing now?
12 to 15. Yeah.
Once a month minimum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You travel quite a bit.
I'm on a plane like 3 times a month.
I texted you, man. You're on a plane.
Yeah.
So we have, I'm just thinking about it, we have a lot in common. But from the Northeast, we're married to a beautiful woman, and something else, we're speakers. You're much more into it than I am, entrepreneurs. But last but not least topic that we both have in common, we're girl dads.
Mm-hmm.
I have
That's
2
right.
daughters, and you have?
3.
3. Wow.
Yeah. 28, 23, and 11. So I was married to my high school sweetheart. We split up, and those are my 2 older daughters. I have their 28 and 23. And then my beautiful wife, Michelle, now have Abriella, who is 11. And man, you always want to have a son.
Yes.
When you're a guy. I want to have a boy,
Especially you're a masculine guy, dude.
Yeah, but I wouldn't change it for the world. My daughters are my entire world. And when I mean that, like, my entire world. Avery, who you've met.
Yes.
I remember her coming in one day, and she's like the best. She is an extraordinary human. My middle daughter, Addison, is fiery. She's a lot like me, and she's just such a great soul. She just loves people. Abriella is just like, she is fearless. She's in competition dance. She's 11. She loves her family so much. She's a leader too. You can see her with her friends. Like, I could not be more proud of my 3 daughters, you know? And I remember having a conversation with my oldest, Avery, and I was telling somebody about a story of when I could barely afford food when they were younger, and she starts crying, you know what I mean? She's like me. She's emotional, and she starts crying. She's like, Dad, I never knew that story. I never knew you went through stuff like that. I'm like, Abe, you're not supposed to. Like, you're not. What am I going to come home and you're 10 or 11 years old, so daddy can't afford food? No. I'm going to figure it out, right? So as a girl dad, it's like, you know, I think it helped me bring out a lot of emotion that I'm not saying I wouldn't, because I don't have a son, I don't know how that is, but I think as a girl dad, it does allow you to become more of the man that you want to be, because it makes you vulnerable. You know, and my daughters have literally shaped my entire life, and I live for my wife and daughters every moment. I didn't always do that. Was not always the best dad. Sure shit, was not always the best husband. I sacrifice a lot of time away from my family, flying and doing what I love. My wife supports me with it. She knows that that's how we live the life we do. My wife is a homemaker and works way harder than I do, in my opinion. So it's a team deal, but man, I love being a girl dad so much.
Yeah. I think it was Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, when he died. This whole term came out, girl dad. Mm-hmm. You know, and yeah, my friend, I'm 44, I have 2 daughters, and, you know, I was one of the son. I was the only son of my mom, dad. So, like, I was like, man, I'm going to have my boy. I do boxing, we'll do some action figures. Yeah. But like you said, man, you get daughters, and it's God's way of just teaching you something else. Sure. You know, the emotional connection. And, you know, I don't know how it is for you, and I'm probably going to come to you for some advice on that too. A lot of advice. I guess sales advice, speaking advice. You're a great husband, man. I don't know, like, I see you on social media, I see you in person. You're very present with your family.
Yeah. I try to be. And like I said, KB, I wasn't always that way. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I feel like that it takes us as men also being hard-headed to learn from those mistakes. And I feel like I've done a good job of that. And I'm proud of myself for who I am today. Because, again, I think from bringing back to the original start of this podcast, you know, we talk about vulnerability and being okay as men expressing themselves and their vulnerabilities. For me, when you hold in those mistakes and you're not okay admitting those mistakes, and you know, you always get the people to see the highlight reels and it's like, oh, you're this and you're that, you're amazing speaker and all this stuff. It's like, I like sharing my struggles. When I speak, I want people to cry, laugh, have fun. Those are my 3 biggest things. I'm fine. I can go teach sales and in leadership, and I do a lot of motivational speaking, which I never thought I would do, and I'm actually extremely good at it. And but I want people to feel every word that I've said. Because if they don't, then I don't feel like I've done my job or what they paid me for. So I get very, very vulnerable. I talk about those mistakes because it's easy to pat people on the back when they're doing good. It's easy to be extraordinary when you're on a high and you're closing all these deals and life's great. But who you are when you're down and what you learn from that is essentially how you become the best version of yourself.
Wow. Amen. To wrap it up quickly, what's in the future for my friend Todd, man? What's the new, any ventures working on, or?
Yeah. We got a couple things in the works right now that don't really want to get too much into private stuff, but yeah, man,
I'm part 2 podcast for that when the
yes,
time comes.
Absolutely, man. But I just want to speak more. I think that my passion is speaking. I mean, I flew all the way to LA at 11 p.m. at night here, got there, and you got to think it was like 8 o'clock then when I landed, which is basically 2 o'clock my time. Spoke at 11 a.m. in the morning, stayed all day with the conference, and then flew home that very next day. You're talking 10 and a half hours of flying, but I wouldn't change it for anything because my wife supports it, my kids support it, I'm good at it. You talk about God using it as a vessel. I believe that's what I'm meant to do. So for me, I do want to retire in the next 5 or 6 years. I love to exit businesses. I like to start businesses and try to build something that will build generational wealth for my family. But most importantly, I just want to impact lives. And as stupid as that may sound to some people, I believe that's why God put me on earth.
Amen. What a story. Todd, you're inspiring me, man. You're impacting my life, man. So I salute you, my brother. and my wife said hi, by the way.
Tell
she
her I say
met you,
hello.
man, and she's like, man, what an amazing guy. Like, man, there's a stigma, right? When you say, oh, someone's a good-looking person who's very well-to-do is an asshole.
Yeah.
The stigma. We saw it in movies, right?
Sure.
Like, man, you and your wife make a beautiful couple. What a humble couple you both are. Your wife turned to us, talking to us very nicely. Your daughters are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Dude, like,
Ditto.
listen, man, like, as a friend, as a younger brother who looks up to you, you did it, man.
Hey, I am very blessed.
You did it.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, mistakes, and we don't want to get into all of that, but whatever you have done in the past, you made a beautiful family. You made a personal brand. So someone to ask you to ordain their wedding, not someone, the mayor. I call him the mayor.
For sure.
That's my brother, bro. I love that couple. That they're like my heart.
Yeah.
And they asked you to do that. I was thinking about that. I'm like walking the hall. I'm like, man, they asked Todd. Like that just speaks volume of itself.
It does, man. I mean, that was they asked me on my birthday the year prior, and I just remember getting very emotional about it because there's 800 people at this wedding. We knew it was all going to be an event. Sanjay and Sarah. It's going to be a movie, of course, right? But I didn't get ordained. I never asked for money, and if anybody ever does, I always say no. I only do it for the people that I love. And when someone asks me, I'll be happy to do it. But, when we did that wedding, the whole goal was to make it fun, make people laugh, get emotional. Because, what the biggest compliment I ever had is that the wedding coordinator, Annie there, she sent me a big long message on IG and basically says, that's you. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. She goes, definitely one of the best I've ever seen. Was, asking me if this is what it's not what I do. I do it because the people I love most ask me to do it. And what a special gift. Like, you don't need a gift from someone to be, the gift is me doing the wedding for them, right? That's the gift to me. Yeah. And so I feel like, all these people, they didn't get me anything. You shouldn't get anything. The gift is them asking me to do it. Yeah. Like, what a special day. And Sanjay and Sarah, they're just huge hearts, extraordinary people. Sarah's like my sister. She's a pain in the ass, but I love her to death. We always give each other shit.
Yes.
Sanjay is, as you know, the most giving, humble person on the planet that will literally take his shirt off his back for anyone on the planet. And as will Sarah, of course. She'll just yell at you while you're doing it. But she's good. But great people, man. So it's a gift for sure, man. Thank you.
To wrap it up, last question. This is a question that's really important for me and my audience. I believe in habits. I believe in morning routine. Quickly about me, I have a routine when I wake up and before I go to sleep. What's yours? Yeah, pretty simple. I actually talk about this on stage all the time. When I wake up, before social media, before scrolling, all that stuff. So I have write down 3 goals for the day, okay, all attainable, right? Like work out for 45 minutes, read the Bible for 15 minutes, read a book for 15 minutes, whatever. I'm talking attainable goals, not like make $1 million, right? Because I think when we set attainable goals, we feel accomplished. Sure. There's a sense of accomplishment you get from that and helps you start your day. Me personally, I write down 10 gratitudes every day, 10 things I'm very grateful for. It was a practice that was given to me by Danelle, who was one of my mentors, and I've done that every single day. I could actually show you on my phone where I have a list of what I need to do every day. So I write down 10 things I'm grateful for. I try to make them different every day. Obviously, you will repeat them as time comes on. And then there is something that I do that I've taught other people to do. You talk about really successful, very wealthy individuals that are just humble. Moby is an amazing human being. What a story of his, man. He's next, by the way. Dude, extraordinary story. I can tell you, we met on Sanjay's bachelor party in Puerto Rico, and he literally, Moby comes up to me, and when we met the first time, he's like, after we started talking, a few hours in, he's like, man, I thought I was going to just hate you. I didn't like you. When I started mentioning you, he's like, man, you're such a good dude. To where we're at dinner one day, and they kept forgetting my food. We're sitting there, and everybody else is eating. Moby's like my defender. He's like, hey, server, come, where's this food? Like, what's going on? I'm like, Moby, it's okay. Yeah. It's all right. No big deal. He's like, no, it's not okay, man. He's like, you've been sitting here. We're all eating. Like, it was such out of the kindness of his heart. But he's told me at that point, he's talked to me since then because we talk now. And he says, man, you taught me a lot that day. He said, because you just look like this tattooed, rough, tough guy. And here I am yelling at the servers. And every time I would yell at them, you're like, server, it's okay. Thank you so much for your help. Like being kind. Yeah. And he said, he goes, I realized at that moment that it takes a lot
to become that person, to actually give people kindness when things aren't going your way. Moby and I have talked a lot, but what a success story, and what an extraordinary human being him and his family are, and his wife. They're just unbelievable
100%.
people he doesn't know this. I look up to him so much. Just a great dude. Sanjay obviously surrounds himself with good people, but you know, we're very blessed to be around people like that. But I taught Moby this deal, and Moby's actually, he's done the gratitudes, and he's done he's already did his 3 goals. But one of the things I told him to do was send a text message. So every single day I take my phone out like this, I go like this, I'd go to my contacts, I turn it around like this, and I just scroll where I can't see it.
Any random person.
And I stop. Whoever it stops on, if I've talked to them yesterday, or I haven't talked to them for 50 years,
Sure.
I send them a text message, and I basically say, hey, you know, Moby, haven't talked to you in 25 years, dude. I just want you to know, for whatever reason, I felt like reaching out to you today. I have a routine that I do. I want you to know that I'm here for you, that I've always appreciated your friendship. If we're not on good terms, hey, man, I know we're not on good terms, but I think enough time's gone by. I want to apologize for anything that I've ever done in the past to hurt you, and want you to know that I'm thinking about you. Bro, if you do this, it will change you. Just the easy text message, I hope you're doing okay, love you, even if it comes on your sister, your brother, your cousin, a friend, somebody you haven't talked to, you'd be surprised how many people go, dude, you have no idea how much I needed this. Thank you so much. And selfishly, it makes me feel good, right? So I get the responses back, and I go out and enjoy my day. So now I've got my 3 goals, I've done my gratitudes, and I've touched a life before the day has even started. And there's no better way to start your day.
You do visualization to visualize the future?
Yeah, you know what, man, I haven't been a big visualization guy, like vision boards and all that stuff. My daughter is, Avery is, she's huge at that. Yeah, big. She's amazing at that. She's taken so many things that I'm bad at and done very well with those. But I'm not a vision board guy. I haven't done it in a long time. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's very important to do it. But I feel like my routine is very important to me, and I stick to it. Works, and it's been working, and I'm just blessed. I mean, you know, it took me 4.5 years to write my latest book that's out, and it was just something that was like, how do you keep writing? Well, I enjoy what I do, and I love how I do it, and that's how I accomplish things. So
amazing. Where can we find you?
Yeah, easy. I've got a few websites. You guys can go to www.toddspeciale. It's SPECIALE.com. So I've got that. That's my speaker website. And then I've got makesales.greatagain.com, which is our leadership, business deep dive, sales training. I'm on IG, Instagram at Todd Speciale. You can find me just about anywhere. But yeah, I would appreciate any support in what I feel like is my journey to impact lives, for sure.
Okay, what an amazing story. And I knew it. When I met him in person, I'm like, I need to have him on the podcast and have you guys be part of his journey. Go through the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs of life. It happens to all of us. You heard my story a bunch of times. You heard his. Saw Vic Tipnis, who's going to come on the podcast one day soon. Every one of us has a story. Don't be afraid to share it. You never know who you can help. You know, like a lot of religious people say, oh, well, I'm Muslim, Christian, this and that, and you should go to church and the mosque and this. You should. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But how about just doing the simple things and helping people in another way?
Amen.
Yeah. So, with that being said, Todd, thank you so much for jumping on.
Honor to be here, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Amen.
Appreciate you.
Amen, brother.